Welcome back to the Chris Berg Show, your daily dose of truth to help set you free here on a Feel Good Friday. Thanks to Dakota Medical Foundation and Giving Hearts Day, little notorious BIG there as we're rolling through a Friday. And earlier today, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, spoke. He's in Wyoming. They have an annual event there. And he said some things that not good at all. In fact, to the point where the Dow's down over 1,000 points today based on what the chairman of the Federal Reserve said earlier today in Wyoming. NASDAQ down almost 500 points. I mean, the markets got crushed. And if you're wondering why, here's a little bit of what Jerome Powell said this morning.
The burdens of high inflation fall heaviest on those who are least able to bear them. Restoring price stability will take some time and requires using our tools forcefully to bring demand and supply into better balance. Reducing inflation is likely to require a sustained period of below-trend growth. Moreover, there will very likely be some softening of labor market conditions. While higher interest rates, slower growth, and softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring some pain to households and businesses.
So he just flat out says it. Get ready for some pain. The pain is coming to household and businesses because of what they are going to do as far as raising rates. And he says, look, I know that July there was inflation didn't go up. I'm not going to use the Joe Biden comment of 0%, but inflation didn't go up based on what took place from June to July. He doesn't care. He's like, look, we think we need to continue to raise rates. The big question is it going to be, 50 basis points or 75 basis points at the September meeting? So we get a very special guest today to sort of break all this down and let you really understand. So when he says there's going to be pain for families and businesses, what does that really mean for you? And are we sort of removed from that being up here in North Dakota and greater Minnesota or not? The CEO of Reaper Financial, Patrick Riley, joins us. He's also getting his MBA at Syracuse University in the finance. So Patrick, great to see you. Welcome to the show. What say you on what Jerome Powell said earlier today?
Well, thanks, Chris. And first, I'd just like to say I commend Jerome Powell on his honesty. It's not very often that you hear a politician say something you can take at face value. But pain is the word, and that's definitely what he's predicting, what he's saying is going to happen. And that's a significant change in the messaging of what the Federal Reserve and the Treasury has been putting out for the last year. There was a lot of denial early on about where inflation was going, that it would be transitory. There was some denial last month about whether or not we're in a recession. And now we can expect some pain. We can expect some softening of the job market. And what he means by that is loss of employment. And that inflation is not necessarily done and out. So what Jerome Powell is essentially saying is he's expecting stagflation, which is a sustained period where there is recessed growth in the economy and high inflation. And the only way we're going to combat that high inflation is by hurting the economy. And that's essentially what he is saying.
So put that at people's dinner tables. And I know everyone's a little bit different, but I mean, for the person listening right now, again, I feel sometimes that we have a little bit of a cushion here in North Dakota and Minnesota because things are a little bit more conservative, but maybe I'm wrong. So take this to my dinner table. Jerome Powell's comments, the market's getting blasted today. What does it mean for me?
Well, I think for you, being in North Dakota, you're a little bit better off for sure than, say, California or perhaps Minnesota. I know Minnesota does tend to lean towards California policies. But essentially, you can expect a continued increase in prices at a base level. We are seeing with the student loan repayment action out of the White House, $20,000 per individual making less than $125,000 a year. Goldman Sachs estimate on that puts it around $600 billion or 1.6% of GDP. So to put that in perspective, our GDP being around, I want to say 45 trillion, that's a rough guesstimate off that math. That's, a large percentage of that goes towards paying the bills. It goes towards the overhead. It goes towards taking care of the essentials. So an increase of 1.6% doesn't sound too bad until you realize that's an increase of 1.6% in spending money. And that might actually be 20% of the spending money.
Right, but
And that's
what
just
I'm
a
what I'm
rough
trying to get
figure.
at, Patrick, is like take me to the dinner table where you're saying, "Hey, Chris, you know what?" Because you mentioned inflation. Like, do you think the price of gas continues to go up? And if it does, and obviously it means that the cost of food's going to go up. And look, we're already seeing stories right now where there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are saying they're so far behind on their electricity, their utility bills, that their electricity could get shut off. I mean, I guess that's what I mean by take it to the dinner table. How much pain am I going to have, like a little cut on my finger, or do I need to cut off my whole arm to survive this thing?
So based off of what we're seeing from the Fed's statements today, it would appear that we're looking at up to 2 years of slow, sustained stagflation. So 2 years means a lot of things to a lot of different people, depending on your income bracket and what your pain tolerance is for economic strife. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're going to end up making some cuts. Most likely you're going to stop buying those cold cut ribeyes, and you might need to start buying some canned foods. And we are seeing the lowest corn production year in since 2019, which I know is also considerably damaging for North Dakotans, as it's a major production of the income for, not just North Dakota but the heartland in general.
You said something a while back, and I'll see if you remember this, and I'll kind of help you along if you don't. But you said, "Hey, Chris," because you see inflation, and then you see the markets getting crushed, and it's sort of like, okay, so if I've got some capital, like where do I put it to maximize the return on my capital? And you said something a while back that I think many people may not compute. Do you remember what you said?
Yep.
And then walk us through that again, what people should be doing.
So sometimes the safest place to put your capital is into debt, right? So if you take out a loan and that loan is against property, that property is going to increase in value equal to or greater than the rate of inflation. So right now, there's a lot of people worried about a housing market crash. That housing market crash could be your golden parachute to save yourself and your finances for your family and your future. So look for those opportunities to purchase assets, and especially assets that cash flow or bring in finances for you to use in your future.
So you're saying, just so people understand, and again, this is not financial advice, but don't be taking trips. You're not talking about buying TVs. You're saying assets that can actually produce cash flow.
Absolutely. Real estate and land are always going to be real estate and land. If you own an acre of land, doesn't matter how much the dollar is worth or the cost of inflation impacts the economy, you still have 1 acre of land.
Again, if you're just joining us, CEO of Reaper Financial, he's got his own token. It's called the Reaper token. You can find out more at thereaper.io. Again, thereaper.io. And I bring that up because, Patrick, one of the things that you also saw today is Bitcoin and ETH and much of the crypto markets getting crushed as well. What say you as to should people get cold feet about Bitcoin and ETH and crypto, or do you feel like, hey, look, this is still a good asset to own?
Well, once again, pain is the time for opportunity. And right now, people who are already trusting and invested in cryptocurrencies, they're going to seek refuge in the thing that they know, and that's cryptocurrency. So the people who are already in, they're probably going to dive in deeper. The people who are not in cryptocurrency yet, this is that time when they're afraid of it. They're not wanting to take risks in their finance, and it is a high risk sector. So a lot of them are going to veer away from it. And that generally means consolidation and a stagnant price movement for cryptocurrency as well. So it could be very slow, but it's also a great time for those who are not in cryptocurrency to look at the opportunities, to do their research, and to possibly make a life-changing decision.
Patrick, I got about 30 seconds left. I want to give you a chance. If people want to reach out to you and just talk decentralized finance or any kind of finance, how do they get a hold of you?
So you can reach me at patrick@reaper.financial. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, or Telegram under the Reaper coin, or just Patrick L. Riley, the Real Reaper CEO.
So Patrick at reaper.financial. That's the new website, or excuse me, the
That's
new
the new
URL.
website. Yep, new
Email.
domain.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know that. That's good to know. So Patrick at reaper.financial. Patrick Riley, CEO of Reaper Financial. Always appreciate the insight and enjoy the weekend, my friend.
All right. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much. All right.